Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very senior and accomplished professional from New Delhi, India, Mr. Shantanu Chakravartty. Shantanu, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh, for having me here.
Thank you. Shantanu is the Vice President of WH India. He's also the General Secretary of the Airport Services Association of India. So, Shantanu, before we talk about airport retailing, tell me about your own journey in brief.
So, I have, if you have to summarize my journey in a line and in brief, as you mentioned, what I typically do is I commercialize airports around the world, and that is what I've been doing for the last 15 years.
Wow.
My journey started in the travel retail industry when GMR won the tender and the bid to privatize the Delhi airport. So I was a part of the core commercial team that commercialized T3. And that's how my journey started. From there on, of course, I've worked across multiple projects around the world, in Middle East, in South Asia, in Europe, and of course, now back, I'm handling a pan-India role in India. As you mentioned, I'm also the General Secretary of the Airport Services Association of India. Just to give you a brief about this association, this is a association that has all the members from the non-aeronautical industry in India, and was formed during the COVID, wherein the airports were shut down for the first time in 100 years. And this association helped this industry survive, and we lobbied with the government, and today we have saved almost close to 20,000 jobs.
Wow.
So that is in brief about the association and my association with the Airport Services Association.
You know, these numbers for airports are always so big whenever you talk about anything to do with airports. But Shantanu, let's talk about airport retailing.
Yeah.
Even before that, tell me a little bit about what WH Smith does in airports.
So WH Smith typically is a 200-year-old plus brand. It was established somewhere in 1893, and with the advent of the railways. So when a railway started in the UK, they wanted to have a books and a coffee store somewhere, and that is how WH Henry established WH Smith, and that's from there on this brand has been there for over 200 years. It's a convenience format in what we call a CTN format, wherein we do convenience, we do tobacco, we do newspapers, we do books, we do confectionery. So any airport wherein a convenience format is required, WH Smith is the name to go. We are currently in over 300, almost close to 30 countries, and we've around more than 300 stores across airports in the world.
Wow.
In India, we are operating in all the major airports, more than 6 to 7 major airports, and we also are operating in metro stations in Delhi, as well as we have some formats in the university campuses.
Amazing. Thank you. That's fascinating. So, since you are an airport retailing guru, let me start by asking you the first question.
Still
How does
learning.
airport retail in India differ from other regions, especially in the Asia Pacific area?
See, one thing, what differs here is if you compare it with the regional differences, one is that India has many airports. So there are there are fragmented and many players in the industry. It's this industry in India is still very fragmented. There are mom and pop operators, there are organized retailers, there are organized players. So that's one key difference that I can immediately tell you. Whereas in say in the Asia Pac region, wherever if you compare a Changi or an Incheon, or for that matter, the Hong Kong airport, the players there are more organized because there are only so many terminals and airports in these regions.
Correct.
So that is one big stark difference that I can easily tell you as far as the players or the industry is concerned. So therefore, my job even became tougher as the General Secretary of the Airport Services Association of India, wherein you have to get all these players, and interests of these players are varied. So as an association, you have to get everybody under the same umbrella so that we are, as being the voice of the industry, we have the same voice.
Very interesting.
So that is very important.
Well said. Well said. And, one of the things that has often been said, Shantanu, is that location within an airport is very critical for a retail outlet.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how important is location within an airport.
So this is what I learned from one of my gurus, who was the commercial director of the Schiphol Airport, and he told me there are three things that are important when you are finalizing a retail location, when you're finalizing a retail outlet at the airport. It's location, location, and location.
Well said.
So location is the most important thing when you're finalizing any space for a retail outlet. Of course, it's a known fact that the security hold area in any airport is of prime importance, because if you do a sales matrix, if it would be 10x versus x in check-in or in an arrival location. So that is something which is very important, and one needs to take the right location to get the designated sales or the numbers. So therefore, location plays a very, very important and pivotal role.
Well said. And what would you say are some of the biggest challenges in airport retailing in India? Because very often one sees retail shops opening in airports and closing.
Yes.
And yet a WH Smith seems to just carry on. So what is it that you do differently that other retailers are not able to?
One thing is that, we focus a lot on our staff and the team, because at the end of the day, your staff and your team are running the stores. So you have to train them well,
Right.
and you have to train them well enough to, connect with the passenger. Lot of sales and anybody would tell you in airport retail is all about impulse buying. So once the passenger is inside the terminal, he's there. If you're not connecting with the passenger during that moment, because typically a dwell time at an airport is, say, on domestic side would be 45 minutes, on an international would be 1.5 hours. So within that time period, you need to connect with the passenger to sell the product. So that is very important, and hence what I give it to is my store staff. From there on, it starts. Of course, then you have the right location, as we mentioned and spoke. Also, for the fact you have to get the right categories in. So category plays a very important role. So, for example, since you're also an accomplished author, you would knowing choosing the right books are very important.
Right. So Shantanu, tell me, what are some of the biggest challenges at airport retailing, and what is the reason, or how do you address some of these?
So one challenge, of course, is that you have to ensure 24/7 seamless operation.
Correct.
Which is not always easy to handle. So having a connect with your store staff is very important. Giving them the right training is very important. The other challenge that we face also is handling multilateral agencies within an airport. So one, you have to handle a security agency, which is the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security. Then you have CAISF. Also, you have to deal with the airport operators differently. There are different airport operators. So the ecosystem itself is very complex, Ashutosh. And hence managing that is very important. So that is one, I would say, differentiating factor vis-a-vis any normal retail.
Well said.
So you can't just get into like a mall and start setting up a store. It's not like that.
Correct.
So there are various ways. Plus the economic models, as you said, you saw a lot of stores and then they're getting shut down. The economic models are also very different. So you don't have a plain Jane rental model. There are revenue share, MMG. Plus on that, now airports are also coming up with a new model wherein it's your rentals or your commercials are linked to the passenger traffic. So it's a very dynamic industry, and we need to track everything on a daily basis here.
Well said. The other aspect that I wanted to ask you was how important, or what is the role of duty-free shops? Because there are some shops which are duty-free and some which are not. So what is your thoughts, perspective on this?
So of course, we have to segment on that. Duty-free is primarily operating in the international side.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have duty paid, which is also very important. Now, if you see the traffic breakup, till as of now, also 80% of this traffic is still domestic. And 20% is international. While duty-free shops, of course, play a very important role in earning foreign exchange, and they have got a very important role because they're kind of the first shop that any foreigner who enters the country sees. And now that is, we have got many organized players in this market. we have to also give equal importance to duty paid retail. So duty free shops are playing a very important role, and that is one of the reasons most of the airport operators have taken a joint venture with duty free operators. For example, the Delhi Airport duty free is being operated as a JV with GMR and Arianta. Similarly, other airport operators like the new ones who are coming in, Adani and all, they've done joint venture with Flamingo. So everybody is coming in with the joint venture model now.
Well said. The other question that I have is that how do you tailor the retail mix to match the demographics of travelers at different airports? Because you're at so many different airports.
Yeah. So that is your retail mix and your demographics are very important. The passenger profile, which we typically say in our travel retail terms, it's imperative to match that, because and that's where category plays a very important role. So for example, just to give you, if I've got a certain sector that is flying from that airport, I need to tailor make my products to that segment. For example, just to give you an example, my traffic is totally different in Delhi International vis-a-vis Kolkata International.
Correct.
I'm operating stores at both the airports. Now, typically, the passenger profile in Calcutta International is our travelers to Southeast Asia and Bangladesh. So the price points that I have to keep for that particular store will be of course different from what I keep at my Delhi airport store. So similarly, if I go to Cochin, it would be different, because then you have flyers from the Gulf. So I will have to tweak my products accordingly.
Right.
And also the needs and aspirations of that particular segment has to be taken into cognizance.
Well said. Well said. The other aspect is technology, Shantanu, and I know that airport stores are very, very advanced when you leverage technology. Yeah. How does WH Smith leverage technology to improve sales and customer engagement?
So as far as technology is concerned, there are many initiatives that are being taken up globally. One, of course, I would like to say is that we're trying to come up with that's an initiative by WH Smith, where to come in with an app wherein a passenger, if he wants to buy a product, he can pre-book the product before reaching the airport. So that kind of saves a lot of time, and also increases our sale at the same point. So these are the certain initiatives that we plan to take in the future as well. And I feel that the technology going forward is going to be a big game changer in the airport segment. I just recently came back from TFWA a day back, as you know, and Changi itself has set up a team which is just focusing on e-commerce and how to monetize revenues from their digital platform. The issue with India actually here is that we have multiple airport operators, and to get them on one level, I think so is going to be a challenge. But if we are able to do that, because that is very important. A digital platform can only be supported if the airport operator is supporting. We have a revenue share or a billing pattern which is linked to the passenger traffic. Therefore, if all the airport operators come under one umbrella, then this digital platform can be huge in India.
Right. Well said. Well said. Can you also talk a little bit about what strategies do you use to enhance customer experience in both domestic and international stores?
So, of course, one customer experience that we do is, let's start with books, because that is probably your favorite subject. So we do a lot of author signings at our stores. That does attract passengers, as well as creates our connect with the publisher and the author itself, which is quite unique to WH Smith. We were the market leaders in that. Right. So when it comes to books, then we of course do samplings at our stores, at airports and metro stations both, so that our products are connected. We also ensure that we give the right space to the right products. That is very important, and our layout here plays a very important role. Right. Because when you have to increase penetration and ATV for your stores, your layout and to ease of passenger movement within the store is very important. It's all impulse buying, and the passenger is there only for 30 to 45 minutes on the domestic side,
Yeah.
or maybe 1.5 hours. So if he's not comfortable, he doesn't have that ease, he'll not buy the product.
Correct.
So your layout per se is very important, and the design of our store. We've got a store design takes more than 1.5 months to finalize, because there's a lot of mind and thought that goes into that. And you have to create to increase the sales and the penetration at the stores, and to increase the customer satisfaction. You have to make the store very easy to navigate, as I may say. I mean, let me put it in plain words.
Yeah.
So that plays a very important part, an important role. So starting from the location to the store design to the category mix, of course, at the same time, the staff to connect, it all plays a very important role, and we give impetus to all the aspects of that.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So one more question relating to airport retailing that I want to talk to you about airport services.
Sure.
The association.
Yeah.
What are some of W.H. Smith's future projects coming up in India and in our train stations and so many other places?
Yeah, so there are many in the pipeline. We are, of course, looking at new stores at our existing airports. That's one. So we keep on that is something we are already an incumbent, so we can get. Then apart from that, as I mentioned to you, we are in metro stations. Various other metro stations are getting developed apart from Delhi. As you know, so there are bids which are coming up in Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore. So again, metro is going to be huge in opportunity. Vis-a-vis, then we have the railway stations which we are yet to target, and that is going to be huge. So I think that is one huge potential market that I see for W.H. Smith in future.
Said. So Shantanu, let's talk a little bit about the Airport Services Association of India, where you are the General Secretary.
Yeah.
For my viewers and listeners, how do you define airport services, and what are some of the key factors in managing a successful airport in terms of services?
So when I talk about services per se, as I mentioned before as well, this is a body of all the non-aero operators. So non-aero, of course, retail plays an important part. Then a very important part is your food and beverage, which is the F&B.
Yeah.
Then services per se, when I'm talking about services, I'm talking about lounge, I'm talking about the forex service, I'm talking about spa, anybody who's operating a meet and greeter service, even for that matter, somebody who's doing a trolley service. So they are all form part of a operation at an airport. Now, obviously, it's entire mix. So this a retail will not make an airport, or a good F&B will not make an airport. Everything should fall in place. So the ease of actually managing an airport, and these non-aero services play a critical part. Of course, your operations of an airport is very important.
Right.
But if you operation so this all is linked to each other. If the passenger has an ease when he's happy to travel, of course, all these services, and he's happy with the services that are at the airport, you will see a direct link, and the propensity for the passenger to spend at an airport will also increase. So all these services cannot be in silos. We work as a team as an airport. Right. So airport itself is a one small city, if I may define.
Right. Very interesting. And my next question is, how important is technology in enhancing airport services and operations?
Technology plays a very important part, and I think so. Our government has done a fantastic job. You see, the introduction of Digi Yatra at various airports.
Yeah.
That's a service which is encouraging ease of travel. And if a passenger is, once he checks in, if he's able to get through the SHA area in a short time, he'll have so much time to dwell and to shop and dine and do so many other things. And that, of course, increases the revenue of the government as well, because all these airport operators have a revenue share arrangement with the government of India. So therefore, this is a digitization by the government is also increasing the revenue and increasing the revenue for our government exchequer. So it plays a very, very important role. That's one aspect. And I think so going forward, there will be many such initiatives that the government is going to take, all the airport operators will take, including the concessionaires, which will increase the ease of travel and increase the revenue. So it's going to be a win-win situation for all.
Well said. Well said. The other question that I wanted to ask you was that, with so many airports coming up in the entire country, there are big airports, small airports. What are the challenges of maintaining high service standards in tier 2 city airports as compared to tier 1 city?
Yeah. So this is a very pertinent and valid question, Ashutosh. I have myself worked in one of the tier 3 or tier 2 city airports, which was actually invested upon by Changi, which is in a place called Durgapur. And I have a first-hand experience. Now, airport per se can be only successful when you have number of flights there.
Correct.
So that is a very important factor in vis-a-vis managing the flights and the operations to these tier 2 cities. Now, again, government is taking multiple initiatives here with the new Udan scheme, wherein they're trying to bring in more aircrafts. So here there is a dichotomy. One side you have we've got these international metro airports that are choked for traffic, that need more terminals.
Yeah.
Whereas on the other side, there are these tier 2, tier 3 airports where the traffic needs to be brought in. So parity, I feel, this is my personal opinion, needs to be drawn there, wherein there is a traffic equilibrium,
right,
which needs to come in, and that's where airlines have to play a very important role. And again, government has done a fantastic initiative, of course, by disinvesting Air India, and that has this real potential to be the global aircraft of Asia.
Right.
Now, of course, things take time. Rome was not built in a day. It had its own legacy
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
So therefore, I feel that that's the initiatives are quite positive. And going forward, once we have a airline ecosystem per se in place, there's going to be more equilibrium of traffic compared to a tier 1 and a tier 2 city.
Well said. So, Shantanu, I have time for 2 more questions for you.
Sure.
In what ways do airport services have to adapt to changing customer expectations?
Well, one has to adapt quite. I would say it has to be quite dynamic, because the way the profile of passengers are changing. Just to give you statistics here, we are still quite nascent if we compare with global numbers here as far as air travel. So there is so much that can be done, and internationally, we are, if you say the international standards of a middle class, so the metrics is, it's around $36,000 a year. We are only 6% of India is still there. So you can imagine the potential that is there, and it's going to change so rapidly. So that is where, and also the traffic. Earlier, the same profile that used to travel by trains is now traveling by aircraft. Going forward, this is going to change faster.
Yeah.
Therefore, the airport services also needs to kind of keep pace with the changing aspirations of the travelers.
Great response.
And India is still per mile, I think so, if I'm not wrong, it's somewhere 0.13 in the matrix if you see the per capita traveling, whereas in US it is 3.2.
Wow.
In China, it is somewhere around, it's still 5 times India. So the immense potential that we have here is so huge. And we had a special session this time in TFWA, wherein there was a focus on the Indian market itself. So everybody is looking at India in a very big way. Not that the story started, of course, 20 years back, but now even so more.
Well said. Well said. Shantanu, my last question for you, and this is for you as the General Secretary. As the General Secretary of the Airport Services Association of India, what initiatives are you most proud of?
So the most proud initiative, if I have to say in one word, is, Ashutosh, when the airports were shut down, this association was formed for the first time during COVID. I'm proud of that we were able to save close to 20,000 jobs in this industry. Because this association enabled us to get the waivers from Airport Authority of India and Ministry of Civil Aviation. So the government was very kind enough and benevolent at that time to support the industry so that the jobs were saved. We got extension of our contracts. So our billing were waived off, MMG revenue share, and so on and so forth. So the many waivers that they gave us. So one of the key is, and of course, what that led to is the employment at that point was safeguarded, which were at risk.
Fantastic.
Because in first time in 100 years, airports were shut down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that note, Shantanu, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to me about your own amazing journey. Thank you for speaking to me about airport retailing at such length. I have been an airport retailer in my days with Guardian in not just one, but several airports, and I know how challenging it is. And W.H. Smith is really iconic when it comes to airport retail. And I think you're doing it successfully, not just in India, but I'm sure wherever I've traveled, I've seen a W.H. Smith. Thank you also for speaking to me about the Airport Services Association of India and how much it is doing to protect jobs and everything else. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck to you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.